Welcome to We Are Not Here to Tick a Box with David Kane and Debbie Hayes. Episode 18, The Strategy of Connection.
So, in the previous episodes, we've been talking about working together, but at a much deeper level, when we're working together, we've got a real sense of connection, haven't we, David? And so I think we'd just like to expand a little bit on why we think sort of really moving beyond working together into really feeling a sense of connection could really add value. And I think, you know, you really want to sort of open this point out, don't you?
Yeah, I think whether you're talking business, whether you're talking life, connection for me is the most underrated area. I've learned this the hard way, and it's something now that I'm very, very passionate about. You know, everything for me now comes back to that word of connected societies, connected families, connected colleagues, etc. And
connected yourself as well. That's
100 always starts there. Absolutely. You know, you've got to be, you know, you 100% got to be fully appreciative of self, know where you're at in order to give the best to the people around you without question. But yeah, this word connection, you know, it's not something that you hear too much of in the mainstream. You know, you hear about imposter syndromes and these other things that go around. I can't ever really recall a business strategy or a human strategy that was around connection. And I think we're at that point as a human race, because you know, we've talked about technology before and the fact that what's supposed to bind us together actually, in more often than not, does the opposite.
Yeah, it's eroding our,
yeah.
It?
And even in business, you know, you can talk about productivity. Productivity is eroded because of technology. You know, how many times do you hear of people now that are being pulled to one side because they're on Facebook at the desk? You know, it's all around. But you've got to ask the question: what is more important on your Facebook page than the people that are around you? You've got an opportunity to interact physically with the people around you, but you're choosing to do it through a device. So this bit, coming back to business, because like I say, I could do this on any level. When you're truly connected in the workplace, that is a completely different level than just simply working there. The way I would explain this, and the way I used to you know, focus my mind on this particular point back in the day, was that, I mean, in everybody's life, the most important people in their life is their nuclear family. And when I say nuclear, you know, sometimes you get grandparents in on that. No, your family is your family. It's your house. That's your family. Yes, you've got a wider family, but ultimately your main concern is with your family. Of course it is, always will be. And when you look at it objectively, if they're the most important people in your life, surely the second most important group of people will be the customers who come to the business that you work for and the colleagues that you work with. Because without that place of work flourishing, it will have a huge effect on your ability to truly provide for your nuclear family. But not just that as well. Think of this from a position of well-being as well. If you're truly connected, if you've got trust, if you've got integrity in your working life, you're going to be happier there. That happiness comes home. So this isn't just financial, looking after your family financially. This is about being present when you're at home. You know, the happier you are at work, the more connected you are, the more that you feel as if, you know, you're not put upon. There's no burden. We're in this together. Everybody has collective responsibility, and we're happy with that. You know, the workloads are fair. God, there's a massive topic here in terms of, you know, workloads and pressures and stresses and all the rest of it, and balancing all that out. But if you're truly connected and have complete and utter faith in the people that you're working with, in the support structures, in your development, all the rest of it, that takes working together to the level, a completely different level, because you're more bound by those principles and by those beliefs. And I think connection for me is perhaps one of the biggest opportunities for business growth that there is.
It's one of my highest values. And but just listening to you then, just talking, it feels as though when we can have, well, when we've built that sense of faith and connection, for me, it feels as though then you're held you're actually held by those other people, and your ability to be held allows you then to hold them as well, doesn't it? Because you're supported, you know that people have got your back, you know, you have got that sense of connection. And I think I always like to look at the reverse of this. It's like, well, if we don't have connection, what we've got disconnection, we've probably got isolation. So, you know, if we've got people disconnected at a passion level, or disconnected from understanding, disconnected from the vision, disconnected from teams, if they are feeling isolated, and again, from a mental health point of view, what that does to people, you know, can have all sorts of consequences, can't it? So there's such value in connection, isn't there?
For me, it's immeasurable. That's how big it is. And you know, and what we're talking about here is, you know, it's like your kids, isn't it? You know, I mean, it's like, I think in the last episode I talked about Rob Burrow, the book that I'm reading, the rugby league player with motor neuron disease, and you know, incredible bravery. You know, I'd recommend anybody go and, you know, YouTube Rob Burrow and watch some of the interviews that he's done since he was diagnosed with motor neuron disease, and and you know, the real courageous nature in which he and his family have dealt with the illness. But when he was actually told, and this is what I mean about connection, when he was told that he had motor neuron disease, the first things that he said was, thank God it's not you or the kids, to his wife. That's connection.
Yeah, because it's real meaning.
Yeah, without even thinking, you know, it was that. And you know, we talked about facing your fear, you know, fear in the workplace, working together. Now, we're not talking as grave a consequence here as motor neuron disease. We're not. Yeah. But when your automatic responses are from a selfless perspective, because you know that actually by serving the greater good, you in effect put yourself at peace. You know, maybe that was a way of Rob putting himself at peace. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But you get my point. That instinctive reaction. With you know, the greater is far greater, is bigger than I. And by actually investing in the greater, whatever it may be, I'll be okay. There's nothing to fear. You know, actually, this is a strength. It's a huge strength, because I get it. I'm truly connected to the people. I care. About, you know, I don't see people. I mean, and don't get me wrong, we don't live in a perfect world. There's going to be people that people work with, they can't stand them on a personal level. But on a professional level, you cannot live without them. And surely at that point, there comes an element of respect. You are still connected. You might not want to go for a pint after work or whatever it may be. That's fine. But that true connection where, you know, I remember a colleague of mine once said, if you don't, about a manager, if you don't respect the title, respect the man. Or if you don't respect the man, respect the title. It's a little bit of that, in the fact that, you know, you don't necessarily have to get along with everybody that you work with, but you have to respect the connection and the impact that they have on your ability to be the person you wish to be, and, you know, and the person that you wish to come. And I think when you're on that level, it's a completely different. Like when you have that wise mind, it is a wise mind. When you're in that state where you get it, you absolutely get it. You know, I am a part of something here, and I'm that big, and this is far greater. So I need to look after this, to look after that. That's what I need to do. Yeah. For those people who are listening, I'm making great big circles with my hand and a little tiny midget gem there. There's a laugh for everybody. Midget gem. I'm actually using the word midget gem. I'm not supposed to use that word anymore. So I'm pinching my fingers like a midget gem. That's me. And of course, there's a big wide world around that. If I'm concentrating on the big wide world, then me within it can only become stronger. That's connection. That's where the magic happens. That's the diamond, as far as I'm concerned.
And then that it comes back to this sense of contribution again, doesn't it? What's my contribution to that collective, to the people that I am connected with? And if I'm able to make that contribution to that collective, that gives that sense of connection, because actually we get a lot of sense of self-esteem and self-worth, don't we, through our ability to give.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the interesting thing is, you know, and again, forgive me for coming back to cars here, but it's something that I know quite well. I think a former, yeah, a former chairman. I think a former chairman, and don't start bombarding me with the accurate facts. But I think he turned around to me once and said, there's about 64,000 moving parts on a car. Interesting. That's what he said. Whether he's right or wrong, I'm not going to dispute it. He's probably right. But here's an interesting thing. What's the most important part of a car?
Every part.
Well, yeah. But again, if we had some people saying it's the engine, some people would argue it's the airbags, or some people would argue it's a different part of the car. But here's the thing: no matter, even if you were that way inclined that you believed it was the engine, you weren't capable of being Fred and Wilma Flintstone and put your feet out and run it. Yeah, okay. But even if you're in that space, okay, there'll be somebody who makes a part that is 0.2% of that engine. How do they see themselves? Are they somebody? I mean, I don't know. Have you ever done the Alex Ferguson story?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, here we go. Wow, this will bind this together perfectly. Okay. Because what I was going to say that, how do they see themselves? Now, there was I remember, again, how accurate this was. I was listening to TalkSport, and they had a former United player on there, and they were talking about Alex Ferguson. How had he managed to be so successful over a sustained period of time with so many different teams? And this topic of, he told stories. He always respected his roots, and he always told stories. And they were going into a game, I think it was against Chelsea, and they were expected to lose. I think it was when Mourinho was there, and they were expected to lose it, or they weren't favourites going into it. And he did a team talk, and it was about a young girl and a dad on a building site. Okay. And they said, well, share the story with us. And this is Alex Ferguson, one of the best man managers that there is. And this is about importance, how you actually see yourself, this bit about connection. And this was the story he said to multimillionaire footballers. They went on to win this game, by the way, 1-0. He stood there, it's about a little girl and a dad on a building site. They're walking across the building site, they come to the first builder. And the little girl, she's only 8, she's very inquisitive. She turns around to him and says, what are you doing? And without looking up, he turns around and he says, I'm laying bricks. Carry on down. Come to another man doing exactly the same thing. Not being discouraged, she asked the question again, what are you doing? And he turned around and said, I'm earning £7.50 an hour. They then went to the third bricklayer. And again, she had the confidence to ask the question for the third time. And this bricklayer turned around, looked her in the eye and said, I'm building your new home where dreams will be made. He turned to the players and said, so I ask you, are you here because you've been blessed with the ability to kick a ball? Are you here for £50,000 a week? Or are you here because you want to leave a lasting legacy on a club that will be here for as long as time to 70,000 people who will scream your name and remember you long after you've retired? What do you want to do? Go out there and show them what you're made of. And they went and won 1-0. So what Ferguson did there is he connected them with the thing that was bigger. Yeah. The thing that mattered. Because once you're a millionaire, you're a millionaire. Yeah. What matters is what you're a part of. What does this club mean to you? What's it all about? Yeah. That, for me, is what connection is. Is getting people to see themselves as something more than what they believe that they actually are. And appreciating the fact that as a footballer, you can be the best centre forward in the world. But if you haven't got a goalkeeper that can stop a goal going in, if you haven't got defenders that are well organised, if you haven't got a midfielder who can slot that pass through, that striker's no good to you. And that's connection. It's about appreciating that for me to do what I need to do, I need to have the faith in the others and support the others to do what they need to do. And if you've got a business that's operating on that level, that is working together. That's going to open doors that at the moment probably aren't even going to be open. And the fear of losing just leaves, just goes because of the faith and confidence that instills.
But it feels like it builds a sense of purpose and passion as well. Yeah. 100%. So when you've got that sense of purpose and passion and you're working with that energy and automatically, I think when you come from that place, it switches to that sense of connection. Then you're in a different paradigm, aren't you?
100%. and that's what you're aiming for. And again, you talk about lead. I mean, it'd be interesting how many leaders go and tell that story now this week in a meeting. But this is what we've got to do. It has to be that way. How many times do we have an opportunity like that there, a pre-game talk, where it just goes to a completely different level in a very, very short space of time.
Yeah, just with a different perspective. The task is the same, but the perspective is different. And with the perspective becomes that renewed purpose, doesn't it?
And the will. It creates the will, it creates the passion, it creates that connection. That's what it does. You stop seeing yourself as an individual. You start seeing yourself as something that is within something that is far greater. And that's, for me, that's the key to life. That, in any relationship, colleague, family, friends, whatever it may be, if you see life from their perspective, not your own, if you actually become quite selfless. I think I did a course once where it said that, where, in every relationship that you have, if you're asking what you can do for them, then, you're coming about this in the right way. If you're asking yourself, what can they do for me? The chances are the bond will not be as great. If both sides are coming from that position of fulfillment of the other person, that's where true friendships and legacies are created within friendships, and it's the same in any situation in life. So very deep, this one. We're actually we're now at closing time. The Queen Vic has rung the bell. But that was quite.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of depth, is there?
No, but
we're not here to be shallow and just tickle things on the edges.
Oh. And is your look, are your friendships that way? Do you see the world that way? Is your colleagues thinking about it that way? When was the last time you actually stopped and thought, how strong are my bonds with the people that truly impact on my life? How invested am I in those people? Do I do right by those people? I've had to do all of this as part of my recovery, and it's been profound, because it does give you that perspective on the ones that you need to work harder on, but equally the ones that actually they don't serve you. And you've got to be brave enough to have go into those type of exercises knowing that actually not everybody's going to come along with you. Not everybody is built the same way that you are.
No.
But if you truly believe that, by seeing the world that way, by looking for that level of connection, by being that authentic, it's the right way, then it will be what it will be.
Well, I think it lends itself to be full of possibilities, doesn't it, from that point?
Huge possibilities from the ground up as well. From the ground up. So yeah, connection. Let us know what you think. Hopefully that gives a little bit more perspective to this working together piece, this that we've been talking about for the last few weeks now. And who knows where we'll go next week, but we'll go somewhere.
We will.
But until then, goodbye for now, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Join us next week for Connecting with Self Part 1.